Alrighty, yo, what is up, Knights? Aegis Rick here, bringing you guys my recap video of the KDNF Winter Festival that we had in 2019. And boy, let me tell you guys, it was a doozy. Now, it has been a couple weeks. I have taken my time on this one. I've been kind of busy because it's been Christmas and all of that and a bunch of winter break stuff, and I haven't really gotten to it, and I think it's a blessing that I haven't really recapped it like immediately, because what ended up happening was they announced all the stuff and then they released most of it in the test server, and now we have a lot of good test server footage to kind of cover in this video instead of just recapping what was actually in the announcement. So I want to start off by saying, I want to give a shout out to Alchemic for setting up the live stream document, and basically it was Mouse Mage as well as Mary, I think, here, who were doing a live translation of the actual stream. So that was awesome. I really appreciate you guys. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it this year because I was a little busy, but I did catch some of the recap. There's a lot of stuff that they talk about that we're basically going to be going over here. And yes, here is a little preview of the stuff that was shown. Get hype, that's all I'm going to say, but we're going to definitely cover this over, all of this stuff in a little bit here. But I want to give a shout out to you guys. Now, we're not going to use the actual document because I think a good buddy of mine, Yukino, has gone ahead and done perhaps a more detailed look at what each is going to be. So anyway, guys, we're going to be going through this. Again, shout out to Yukino here for doing the translations of some of this. So first and foremost, guys, we have a new level cap of level 100. Now, this is coming as a big surprise because I know a lot of people they already knew. I knew there was a lot of people that had already suspected that we were going to get a level cap, and I was in denial. I told a lot of people we are not getting that. We just got 95. At least that's what it feels like to me. We've just gotten it, and yeah, we're getting level 100 cap. I mean, we're getting it here in at least 6 months or so. It's crazy to think that. Well, I mean, honestly, we haven't even enjoyed 95 cap all that long, and we're already talking about 100 cap, outdating all the stuff that we've done. Not really. We'll get to that, but it's crazy to think, and I'm excited for it. Of course, when you release a new level cap, there's going to be new gears. We'll talk about a little bit about that, not too much, but new areas and dungeons though, and new kind of content to do. So that's always fun. There's going to be some new plot elements. The theme is we're kind of gonna go back to the West Coast. We're gonna go back to Airhead a little bit. Maybe recall some dungeons that you have seen before, like we're going to the Ghent area again. There's going to be new stuff in the Ghent area. There's a quest line that can actually be completed that it starts there and then it kind of ends abruptly. So we're going to go back there, and there's going to be some unique gear farming. Now, it should be mentioned, when people talk about unique gears in this game currently, they're kind of a joke. They're only used for cosmetic purposes, and the unique gears are not very strong. But if you look at a very, very in-depth translation done by I think it was Linger as well as Mary here. I gotta thank you guys, because this is several hundred. This is 108 pages worth of translation of all the gear that has been added to the game. Unique gear, legendary gear, epic gear, armors, weapon, everything that is getting released. We can see the stats of them. So I'm not going to be going through this document. 108 pages is ridiculous, but I do want to kind of recap some things. For instance, the unique gears are mentioned that we're going to be farming them. Look at the stats on this thing. This thing is as strong as a Sky Legacy weapon is today, with all of the extra Satyr options as well. This thing is crazy, and that's a unique weapon. So you can only imagine how strong the legendary and epic gears are going to be, and that's kind of like a revamp. That's something that was mentioned by the director. He said, unique gears have been forgotten about, so let's go ahead and add those back into the gearing progression system, and they're very strong. So it's not something that you're just going to skip over and ignore like we do now. It's going to be serious. So unique gears coming back with the new area. We got this new area, Chest Town, which is something that is brand new. Looks kind of cool. I mean, we only see this little image here, so there's probably going to be a new map. Looks like a little miner town, but we'll see more of that. And there's going to be some different dungeons where you can farm legendaries and epics, and they have some little preview videos that are added here. I actually have some better footage than these previews show because, like I said, it's been a while now, and these dungeons have been added into the test server. But you can kind of see, they're kind of linear dungeons, and you can farm. This one, I think you farm for legendary gear, kind of fighting this Guan Yu looking dude. And like I said, we'll show off more content. There's a lot of cool bosses. You guys can see everybody's wearing their Sky Legacy or upgraded Prey stuff. Like, this is hard content in the game. Awesome Nova's Gracia, by the way. Look at, he has his giant-ass shield and giant-ass hammer. This guy is a beast. Male Knight Wen. Looking at Nilvis here. Dude, he's way badass. And his Avenger transformation also looking more badass than what it was when we fought him previously in the Time Gate. But that's for legendary farming, and then an even harder dungeon than that is for epic farming. Again, just another dungeon, arena type dungeon. It looks like there's a little system involved here, but basically what I'm seeing here is we're finding a lot of APCs, so kind of keep that in mind. This is also something that I have seen done in parties, kind of with Satyr and kind of end game farming type of thing. So something that you're not really just doing on your own. This is serious kind of gear farming that you can do, but at least there's dungeons to farm them. You know, it's not just relying entirely on RNG on that front. So West Coast Alliance camp, like I said, we're trying to go back to the West Coast. So you can see we've got maybe a new camp in the West Coast. And they've got all these other gears or dungeons that can help you gear out. This is endgame content. You know, for instance, you can get the Epic Pot right here, which is for level 100. Yet another dungeon type. I think this is the one that you actually party up with people. So the details of which I'm not really going to go into all that much because this is all new content. We'll be getting all of that. Now, this one's kind of interesting. This dungeon right here is called the Storm Lane, and this is going to be specifically for gold farming and leveling. Same thing with the next dungeon, the Curse of the Bloody Fruit, again, for gold farming. So they're basically, this one is like the return of the Mirror Arad. You guys can see here, this Storm Lane area. It brings back areas that we've seen before. There's Mechatau right there, and there's Gazelle right there. We're kind of just going to old areas, and this one is for farming gold. So it's kind of interesting because, you know, most of the time when we're farming gold, it's always been in Total Eclipse and stuff like that. This dungeon also for farming gold. Apparently, if you go into here, there's like a challenge system, so the harder it gets, the more gold you get. Apparently, as far as it looks like, and it looks like you're just diving deeper and deeper into the dungeon to get more rewards for it. So that right there is a really cool feature because I gotta mention, right now Total Eclipse is the only thing that we farm, and that doesn't require a very strong character. And in fact, if your character is any stronger, you can't really farm any better. Really what you want is a fast character, not necessarily a strong character. So I hope these dungeons kind of capitalize on the idea of not just having fast characters like Paladin, like Swiftmaster, and really focusing on just having stronger characters to farm you more gold. That seems more like a smarter way to do it. It's kind of like the rift system in Diablo. You know, the stronger you get, the more gold you should get, not kind of how it is in DFO where you just need to get a fast character and that's about it. So hopefully that these two dungeons, Storm Lane and the Curse of the Bloody Fruit, are ways that are better than the Total Eclipse. You hopefully will get more gold than Total Eclipse, and hopefully you can really start abusing the challenge system here to essentially get stronger opponents so that you can capitalize on having stronger characters on your account. So that's kind of really interesting. I'm really interested to see how much they're going to be trying to let us get from these. They really got to base this off the Total Eclipse, so I think it should be better than Total Eclipse, and then I'll be really happy. So now, the reason why I kind of went through most of these new contents really quickly is that I think it's better if you guys see that content. So I'm going to leave links in the description below to some DNF test server footage from a YouTuber, GohanDesuNya, who has basically done most of the test server stuff on his female grappler. You guys can see here's the new tower. You know, he has videos on the Catacomb of Pain, and he's doing it all solo, so it is possible to do solo. And you guys can see all that content for yourself to see what the dungeons are, what the gimmicks are, and how strong the content is. You know, and I think it's something that you should probably check out yourself. Here's the new town, for instance. Here's the new dungeons that are available. So go check them out yourself, and I really got to give a shout out to GohanDesu for basically giving us some footage of the test server, because this is essentially what we're going to be getting in a much more concise fashion. More than I can just explain. This is what we're getting. So keep that in mind. Again, shout out to GohanDesu for this test server footage of the new content. You know, I just kind of very briefly talked about some of the new content that we're getting. There is something that is called a special reward system, and it basically says you get an increased gear drop rate for a limited amount of runs per day, and the materials necessary given as well. So what that kind of sounds like to me is that all these kind of daily content dungeons right here, like the Imperial Palace and all these areas, they can probably be entered more than a set number of times, but you get higher drop chances based on the special reward system. So only a certain number of times do you get the maximum amount, and more than likely you'll probably only want to do that maximum amount of runs a day and not have to overdo it. But you probably will still get materials, just not as many, but then you gotta weigh, is it worth it or not? So it's kind of a way to slow your progression down so you're not just going crazy, going ham on one day. Abaddon of Confinement, that is a new tower that has been added to the end game. I guess it's going to have level 100 pods, and you know how the towers work at this point. You basically fight APCs, and they're kind of challenging for the level range. So far, you know, all of the towers are basically fodder content, so hopefully these are a little bit harder for harder content, obviously. For level 100 cap, you're going to have to be a little bit harder, obviously. You can see there are actually some gimmicks and stuff involved here, but these are basically towers. Now, I did hear some word that, and I don't know, this was kind of rumored, that we might be removing the Tower of the Dead, which is the level 100 floors of the Tower of the Dead, and replacing them with the Abaddon of Confinement. So that's kind of a sad thing, because I've been doing towers for like 5 years, so if they remove that, that's kind of a shame, but at least they're going to be replacing it with something that we can get level 100 epic weapon pots, which, as we'll talk about how the epic weapons work, they're going to be very similar to how the level 85 and 90 weapons work, the epic weapons that is, in that they're unique and there's 2 per weapon type. So that's kind of, you know, that's a departure to how the progression has been going in 95 cap, but we'll talk about that. And we'll see whether or not I agree or not with that. Okay, so that's kind of some of the new content. There's a lot of other stuff as well. Like if I skip over the gears real quick, because there's some translation of gears. Like I've said, most of that has already been translated in this document, so we don't have to talk about the gears from there. But just to kind of quickly recap, uniques have been long forgotten and abandoned, and now they're getting, like I kind of mentioned, they're much, much stronger. These ones are going to be close to the strength of the level 95 epic sets, and these are the legendary sets, so that's kind of crazy. And then the epics, there will not be any gear resets. Users will be provided 3 pathways to continue their gear progression. You can either upgrade your gear, you can inherit your gear, or you can etch your gear. And essentially that's ways to take your gear and to transform it into level 100 cap gear, which is kind of great. You know, when 95 cap came out, you know, especially at the start of it, they basically said, if all that stuff you did before doesn't matter, level 90 cap didn't matter, and redo it. And they're not going to do that same thing again, which is kind of, if they had me go through that trouble again and reinforce all my weapons and all of that again on all my characters, seriously, you would have a serious problem in the game. So it's really nice that they're going to allow you to upgrade most of that stuff. It's not very clear about all of what you can maintain, but my guess is you're going to be able to upgrade just fine into the level 100 cap. Now, looking at the gears again, just kind of to preface, there's a lot of unique stuff. Right now in 95 cap, it's very segmented. There's not very many diverse sets. There's only 1 weapon for each character. Now that's going to change. You know, there's going to be 2 weapon types. You guys can see here there's 2 lightsabers that I can choose. So it's going to be a little weird. Which one do I go if I have, you know, a lightsaber currently and I want to upgrade into a level 100 epic? Which one do I go? You know, it's like they're both a little bit slightly different. You're obviously going to want to pick the best one. It kind of makes the choice very, very important. You got to pick the right one. You got to pick the best one. And, you know, something to keep in mind. The meta is still going to be there despite there being some more variety in the meta. So you're going to see a lot of people perusing this document to try to figure out what the best options are. So, and like I said, most of those are already kind of covered here. He's going over some of the new gears, which we will go over as well. One thing that isn't seen here, and we're going to have to scroll down a little bit to get to it, is that there is a new set of gear. It's called the Mystic set. So if you look at the Mystic or Divine set, it's either Mystic or Divine, I've heard translated, but it's a new equipment rarity tier, okay? And what that means is there's going to be 1 piece of gear out of all of either the armor set, accessory set, or sub-equipment set. There's going to be 1 piece of gear that can be have the option to be a mystic version of that gear. And when that drops, it will give you different options to that gear. And it can only come in the form of, I think, your top, your bracelet, or your earring. And here, that's where it says right here. So the mythic gear or the divine gear can only come as your top, earring, or bracelet. And the reason they chose those 3 is because they're 1 piece out of those sets that I just said, the armor, accessory, and the sub-equipment set. These are the 1 pieces of gear that they can be the mystic version. And if they're the mythic version, you guys can see they do provide extra stats. You guys can see there's some mythical options. They're kind of random. You guys can see here that I can get extra Eleanor on it up to 10%, but I could get as low as 2%. I can get extra Valor Blessing buffs up to 10%, as low as 2%. So it's like a different level of gear stats. It's not mentioned whether or not these stats can be re-rolled by use of a Kaleido box or something like that, but it's just it's very similar to other MMOs which have these types of stats that you want to try to re-roll and try to get them better. So just keep in mind that they're only for the one piece of gear, so in this case it'd only be affecting this top version. You'd still keep all the stats of this top, but then you have additional options of the mythic options right here. So and those are obviously going to improve your sets as well. You know, for instance, if you're looking at an armor set and you look at the mythic armor set, it does indeed change some of the set effects as well when you get the mythic option. So this kind of opens the door to a crazy amount of variability between people's sets of gears, which ones they choose, because you can only wear one mythic piece of gear. Even if you have multiple mythic pieces of gear, you can only wear one at a time out of your entire set. So you have to choose which one that you want in particular, with either the top earring or bracelet, and you have to make sure that it buffs up your set in the way that you want it. So it's a new equipment rarity. It's very powerful, obviously, but you aren't going to wear a full set of divine gear, okay? You're just going to wear one piece of divine gear to buff up one of your gears in one of your sets. I did look at some of the additional effects that those mythic gears give, and they're not like crazy OP. A lot of the times they're just kind of more convenient. Like if your set is doing some type of weird thing to it, it'll make it more convenient to activate the set effect and stuff like that. And obviously you saw how strong, you know, we can get 10% stronger Valor Blessing and stuff like that. So it's not like it's a throwaway thing, but there are certain options that can give you some really nice things. Just consider it for one piece of gear though. So anyway, guys, we'll come back to the gears. Like I said earlier, we'll come back to the gears because I don't want to go over 100 pages, but I do want to talk a little bit more about them. But before we get to the gears, guys, let's talk about the true awakenings and neo awakenings female slayers. Now, these are already released. There's already a ton of footage I've seen out there of these characters. We got third awakenings, boys. I cannot believe it. This was also called. Okay, somebody came onto my stream and they're like, Rick, did you see we might get third awakenings? And I'm like, dude, shut the hell up. Somebody ban him. We're not getting third awakenings. And then look at me. There's mud on my face right now because they already have 4 awakenings for the female slayers. Let's go ahead and look at some footage. And I actually have better footage than what's linked here, so let me go pick that up real quick. All right, so the next shout out I got to give for the test server footage is for Morakune DC. He's a really cool guy who's been doing a lot of KDNF content, and he has already gone into the test server and played some of the new Neo Third Awakening characters. You guys can see Demon Slayer, Vagabond, Swordmaster, and Dark Templar, and he's basically gone into the training room and tried out some of the new skills. You guys can see. Here's Dark Templar. Essentially what we have with the Third Awakening is the same thing that we had with the Second Awakening, which is an additional skill as well as obviously the Third Awakening active. And you guys can see there are some changes to some of the skills that you might know how they exist right now. Here you can see here's the First Awakening. But there might be some changes you might see to some skills. That may be due to the talisman system that we don't yet have in the DFO right now. But it also is the case that some of the skills are changed due to the Third Awakening. Here you guys can see that is the one brand new skill that this character did get, is a big AoE type skill. And then here's the Third Awakening. Oh my god. Just getting more and more anime. You guys can see here he's turning on the cutscenes, you guys, so you can see what shows up. But basically, you get awesome anime third awakenings, man. It's crazy. Basically, what we're going to see is that's going to happen with most all of the characters that you'll see. That was Demon Slayer right there. We'll go to the Vagabond real quick. Again, like I said, we're going to be seeing one new skill as well as the Third Awakening itself, and perhaps some changes to some skills as you know them currently, which may be due to the talisman system, but also like this one right here does not look like that in the game currently with how the burst looks. But you guys are seeing right here, there's the Second Awakening, looking really flashy. Has not shown the new skill off real quick. This is the new skill right here. Boom. Okay, and what I'm noticing mostly with the new skills that are added is they're very fast burst AoE. There's huge burst and huge AoE, and that one actually can be used in the air and teleports to a guy, so that's pretty cool. But like I said, big burst and big AoE. You know, it's just a quick move that you use to wipe out a room really quickly, which I really like. I don't like long flashy animations most of the time for skills. Here's the Third Awakening though. Like I said, the anime is just getting crazy. I would say that's probably one of the weaker of the Awakening, the Third Awakenings, but it's still cool nonetheless. This is my favorite by far. In fact, I'm actually gearing out my Swordmaster for this very reason. You guys can see he's currently on a short Swordmaster right here, and just kind of cut away to the new skill that this character got, which again is going to follow the theme of a quick burst type attack with a lot of AoE. And there it is right there. It's like a big sword suction with an explosion at the end. It also charges to the enemy as well. So I mean, like I said, huge AoE, huge burst. Can hit that guy way up there when you weren't even lined up with him. And then the third awakening itself, dude, look at that! Oh my effing god. I want to main this character. Did you see how cool that looked? He's going to do it again with the cutscene this time. Jesus, that is so awesome, man. And then finally we're going to end it off with the Nemesis as well. And you guys can see the new skill that she has as well, which is like a big sword stab, which explosion at the end of it, which kind of looks similar to the Majesty's one, but I'm sure that has bigger AoE than it looks. And then we see the actual new awakening here. Dang, man. Summons La Mulana mother from there, mom. Here's with the cutscene. Really cool. It's a little bit of a cop-out that they only have the sprites come in with the actual Neo Awakening. You guys see they're wearing the costume right here. That's not wearing the same costume that he's wearing currently. He uses only this one, but it kind of makes sense based on the aesthetic of it. You know, they're not gonna change all the avatars to make sure your character matches, but it looks cool nonetheless. It matches the character there, and the animation is just the obviously most flashy that we have seen thus far in this game. So, and that's all for the characters. Now, again, big shout out to Morakune DC for doing some of the test server stuff. You guys can see he's also doing some other content as well in the test server. Now, one thing I did want to mention about the Third Awakenings currently, which is something that we've kind of noticed, and we think it may be temporary. There's not a lot of factual data about this yet, but what is happening is when you use the Third Awakening, either your first or second awakening will go on cooldown. So that basically means you can only choose one or the other to use. You can't use all three of them. One of them has to basically share the cooldown with either your first or second awakening, which some people theorize that might be a temporary thing because it'd be really overpowered if, you know, say the female slayers were the only ones that had access to the Third Awakenings. They'd obviously be super powerful, so they got to balance it a little bit. But it would be a little bit of a bummer if the Third Awakenings cannot be used on their own. So I think eventually when more characters have their Third Awakening, they'll have their own independent cooldown. But right now, as it exists currently, the Third Awakening shares a cooldown with either the first or the second awakening, and so you can't use all three. You're gonna have to choose two to use. So that's kind of a bummer, but like I said, it might be a temporary thing, so not really too much of a concern right now. Not to mention, look at how cool they look. It's worth it to lose it, guys. So anyway, guys, that was already existing in the test server. Obviously, the next characters that are gonna be released are gonna be these guys right here, the male fighter characters, which I gotta say, Female Slayer, it made total sense why they did Female Slayer. Female Slayer's got to be the most popular character in DFO, period, across all versions of the games. It makes sense for them to do that. So for them to then go and release the male fighter characters, it's like almost a buzzkill, almost, kind of. I'm just kidding, you know. But yeah, you know, we're getting male fighters next. You guys can see the artwork is already done for them, and I'm sure they're working on the cool, awesome animations as well. And you know, honestly, I gotta admit, this has been, I remember it was several years ago at this point, four, almost 5 years ago, where we were getting our second awakenings for our characters, and that was coming to DFOG, and they kind of released them like on a month-to-month basis, and it was agonizing how much I wanted to see, like, how much my Elven Knight would change, and it's so awesome to kind of relive that again with the Third Awakenings. You guys can see how much cooler the characters look, how much they're advancing, and what kind of cool tools you're going to be getting for your characters. And from what I've seen so far, all of the characters are getting something awesome, you know, especially with the Swordmaster right there. I mean, that is amazing. One new skill, perhaps a new passive, and an amazing looking Third Awakening. I'm down, so I can't wait to see what kind of footage we're going to be seeing with these kinds of characters and what they're going to be upgrading and changing to them. But they're the next ones in line, and we're just going to, you know, keep watching, keeping our eyes peeled for the next ones to come out. Next to talk about, guys, we got the Palisea. This is honestly, guys, I'm gonna tell you right now. I didn't expect to be as hype as I was, but when I saw this footage of this stuff, I started to get super hype. This apparently looks like a new hub world for your characters. There's going to be a lot of new areas added to DFO, or there already has been a lot of new areas. And so, very similar to what you see in Warframe, where your hub world is like an airship. You have an airship in DFO now. And there you can see he was accessing a UI which can basically, I think, change his teleportation aura, or what it looks like when you teleport onto an area on the map. But you can use your airship now to teleport directly, so you don't have to take the dock anymore. You can use your personal aircraft and teleport exactly to these areas. You can see right here, boom, hit underfoot right there. There's your little beam me up, Scotty. Dude, the music is hype in here. I'm hyped for this, man. I want there to be some customization in there. I want that to be the new hub world. I mean, if we can get away from Syria's room, there's not much going on in there. Why not just have this the new hub world, guys? Just jump onto your fucking airship and chill out in here. So, honestly, I'm looking forward to this. Hopefully there's some achievements. You guys can see here, there's some kind of achievement systems. Level 35 of something, Explore Club or something. You can get achievements to get different stuff. Hopefully soup up your airship. And, man, that's a really cool feature. I think better than the current dock system that we have. As long as they go to the common places that you still want to have access to go everywhere in the map. So I like this little addition. I don't know how in-depth it's going to be, but I kind of like it. Now, this is kind of a point that was mentioned. DFO is a homework game. It's kind of like a complaint that was made during the actual stream itself. And the director mentioned, yeah, we understand that you fall behind if you miss a day, so in order to fix this problem, we're going to keep the advantages of NPC gear purchase system, which honestly is one of my favorite things because it provides some consistency, but they're also going to increase the joy of gear acquisition, which is, I don't know what they really mean by that. You know, there's a lot of interpretation there. Maybe they increase the drop rate of epics from hell mode and stuff like that. It's not very clear what they're saying, but at least we're not losing the NPC options, which is kind of my thing, is that I like the consistency of getting gear from the NPC because you're getting exactly what you want. You're not getting all this bullshit for other characters that you don't need. You're only getting exactly what you want, and whatever it takes to actually farm that, I really like that consistency. So hopefully they don't change that very much. Now, another thing that was mentioned by the director is that the current Explorer Club lacks purpose. So they're going to be changing that by handing out cosmetics as rewards. They're also going to be changing a lot of stuff with that, not just the cosmetics. It's not very clear as to what cosmetics you're going to be getting, like avatars. You guys can see here, it looks like there's a Santa avatar and perhaps some older avatars that are going to be available for Explorer Club, perhaps points. You guys can see here there's some level up tickets, and actually the translation mentions it. There's going to be a new region, so you're going to be able to get more Explorer Club crystals, glory crystals. Got some new level up tickets. Right now they only go up to level 90. Now they go up to level 94. There's going to be Abyss Fragment boxes, which is kind of nice because farming Operation Hope, it takes a long time, so that's going to help it a little bit easier. Talisman and Rune boxes, which right now currently we don't even have that system, but that's kind of nice that you can use the mercenary system to kind of get your talismans. And that's kind of very important when your character is not strong enough to farm it themselves. So, you know, you can kind of boost your character into getting talismans before they can be strong enough to do it. Although this is going to be less relevant now that level 100 cap is coming out, because you're going to be able to get strong enough gear to farm your talismans very easily in level 100 cap. Right now you have to be like pre-graduated basically, or partially graduated to even farm this shit. So that's going to be changing. And then finally there's going to be level 100 unique gear boxes, which, like I mentioned earlier, guys, the level 100 uniques are not a joke. They're seriously powerful. So, you know, being able to get access to weapons that can do this much fucking damage just from a box from the Mercenary Club system is a huge deal. It's a big deal to be able to get 100 level unique gear, because now the uniques are very strong. I mean, you can boost somebody brand new without having to actually farm them at all and get them really strong gear. I have very particular characters that I'm planning on doing this on so I can gear them up without actually having to play them. So finally, guys, we got the UI renewal. This is kind of stuff that is convenience stuff. Character selection screen will allow you to select your favorite characters. It's not very clear whether or not the character selection screen is going to be like a new tab where only your favorite characters are shown, or maybe just a little pin system where you can kind of give a heart to one of your top favorite characters and it orders it that way. Who knows? But I wish there was a pin system for deletion characters so I can have them away from my character select screen, but that aside, we get 2 more skill slots, which is actually a bigger deal than you might think. Actually, if you look at some of the footage right here, you can see that the UI has changed a little bit. You guys can see that the skills are now in the direct center instead of being over onto the right, which is more standard to MMOs. And we also got 2 more skill slots available. So right now we only have 12, and they've upped that limit to 14. So if you're the kind of person who was like, man, we don't have enough shortcut keys for our skills, we've gotten 2 more. It's going to change a lot of people's playstyle, I think, but for those of you guys who didn't find that to be an issue, I guess that won't be an issue for you, but it does make sense considering that we've gotten level 100 cap and we got a couple new skills. So they've changed some of the other windows as well, hopefully made them faster and not as annoying. But anyway, Fair Arena, right now Yukino does not do any kinds of translation for it. He says he doesn't care, or nobody cares. There might be some kind of care for this, though, at least for us, is that the Fair Arena, how that works is basically, it doesn't matter what gear you come into it, you get the same stats, and so it's more of a skill-based system. There's still the miss system, so let's not get too carried away. You still have the main system of the game to worry about, but at least the gear won't be an issue, as long as we've seen with the Fair Arena in the past for PvP. So if you're a PvPer and are complaining all the time that people have stronger gear than you, you don't want to get stronger gear, well, there is going to be potentially, we'll have to see if that even gets translated over to DFOG, a Fair Arena where you don't have to get stronger gear and, you know, it's a little bit more balanced in terms of the gear. Lastly, guys, they're going to make a separate avatar market. Now, that's separate in the sense that, oh my god. Look at this picture. I gotta save this. It's different in the sense that currently in the game right now, we put all of our avatars into the auction hall, and it's functional. You can kind of see how avatars are in there, but this is gonna be like, it looks like a separate area. You guys can see there. Looks like a separate area. You can see the NPC back there, and there perhaps may be a location where you can show off your avatars here to people who are looking for it, and the top 3 users will be displayed in the Hall of Fashion, so you can kind of mix and match avatars in there. You can kind of see what avatars other people are using, and we'll have to see what they mean by top users with the most likes. Does it include your skin weapon? Does it include your aura and all of that? It's kind of hard to say right now, but that's kind of a cool little way to show off how your gear looks. So anyway, last thing to mention, guys, Sirico raid. It's crazy to think that Sirico raid is coming because it feels like just yesterday we got Prey raid. I have not even done enough Prey raid to get a full set yet. I've only got my weapon in a couple pieces. I haven't gotten a full set yet, and I've done Prey almost every single day we've had available, and we're already talking about the next raid coming out. So 100 cap, obviously new cap means new content, and also means harder new raid. In Sirico, honestly not looking as badass as Birdo, KFC, but you know, she's looking all right. We'll see how badass she is when we get a little bit more footage. So anyway, like I said, shout out to Yukino Kaori for doing this very in-depth recap and even giving some links to some of this kind of content because it's been very helpful for this video. So anyway, guys, let's end off with some of the document where all of these have been translated. Again, shout out to Lingerer as well as Mary for doing 108 pages of this. I'm going to leave this to you guys basically to look at because it shows all the epic weapons. Like I said, there's 2 different epic weapons for each sub-weapon type. You know, short sword, there's 2 of them. You know, the bludgeon, I've heard people talking crazy shit about the Zanbato, how amazingly OP this is. I've seen some cool, like, weapons. Like, for instance, some of the weapons might change your basic attack to do more damage. This one gives you a shield. So they're very unique effects. You know, I was kind of missing that with the new Prey stuff. This one gives you a chance to summon more land runners, 30% chance with the auto gun. You know, it's something we've been missing out on. Unique effects. Creates lasers to strike all enemies, so proc effects that we haven't seen in a long time, equipment options. Look at your weapons, basically. There's going to be some crazy effects out there now. Also, the armor sets, you know, I already talked about the Mythic and what that entails, but the sets themselves are very unique. I'm going to go ahead and jump to the plate armor set because I saw a set there that made me just gasp. And yeah, here it is right here. It's actually the Road of Eternal Flow. You guys know how much I love the Mana Vortex. You guys used to meme a bunch about it, about how much I love Mana Vortex. Well, they've basically done it again, except perhaps even more crazily, okay? Road of Eternal Flow. Look at how this set works. Basically reduces your damage by 30% on a lot of your skills, but what they give in turn is they basically give you 50% cooldown on that skill. So they've reduced your damage by 30%, but let you cast it twice as often. Man, that's crazy. And then you look at, you know, that's just from one piece right there. You guys can see they do it for the level 35 skill as well. Do the same thing for the level 40 skills as well, 25 skills. Dude, you're going to have your skills available at all times. And then the set effect will also give you more damage and then give you more cooldown again. So, I mean, dude, the set effects are doing the same thing. And then you have upon 50% chance to reduce a random skill by 1 second up to 1 to 45. So you're getting even, you know, the Mana Vortex effect where you're resetting skills, where you're basically reducing the cooldown of skills constantly by 50% chance every time you use a skill. So if you're Elven Knight who's using skills like crazy, now we're talking like everything's getting reset. And then the mythical option, if you can get the mythical top, this happens not at 50% chance, but 100% chance. Every time you use a skill within 1 to 45 will be reduced by 1 second randomly. So honestly, guys, I'm almost 100% gonna pick up this set. I don't want to be like completely sure because maybe it's trash, but dude, I want to try this so bad. I want to see how it works. It's been so long since Mana Vortex was a thing and viable, and it's kind of cool that they have effects like this on the epic sets again. You know, they're fun sets again. Who knows if this is going to be actually viable or strong? I'm sure it's going to be strong enough to do all the content. It might not be the best plate armor set, might not be even close to the best set in the game, but I'm saying that is a fun option, and that's one of 3 different types of plate sets that they have. So keep that in mind, that there are a ton of armor sets out there, a ton of accessory sets. There's even some things called the hybrid sets, which are kind of like, you know, they involve different pieces of gear. So this one involves a 3-piece set that's like top, necklace, and sub-equipment, and that's a 3-piece effect. So they're kind of like off epics. I'm not sure how people are even going to use those hybrid sets. Obviously, they have accessory sets. They're applying unique effects as well. A lot of move speed, attack speed effects that I'm seeing in a lot of different cast speed as well. A lot of different speed options that I see in the accessories, sub-equipment. Obviously, go check those out. And guys, finally, I'm going to end it off with the tradable epics, okay? Now, what are tradable epics? These are, obviously, you can put these in the auction hall, but what they generally have is a very, very unique effect, which generally, this one right here, for instance, is Haugi's Bone Ring. It's making its comeback. It's one piece of ring. It doesn't constitute any part of a set, but on its own, it's extremely powerful, so something that you'd want to wear. But of note, guys, are these sub-equipments, okay? You can see here's the Wesley's Tactical Pole, all Elemental Crystal. They're all sub-equipments, and what they do is they can take your level 85 epic set. If you still have those, this is Tactical Leader. It makes it viable in level 100 cap, okay? So this one takes your Tactical Leader set and gives it equipment level plus 15, making it viable at level 100 cap. It makes Tactical Leader viable again. It's like the only synergy set in the whole game is viable again at 100 cap. We might be seeing a ton of people bringing this back in crazy fashion. Same thing with the Elemental Crystal. This is the Soul Burn set right now. It's also, again, viable at level 100 cap if you get the sub-equipment. Same thing with the Ice Shield Ladanian set, which is the football set. Unfortunately, Natural Guardian will not be making a return. Scripted Forbidden Contract set is coming back if you have the sub-equipment. And then finally, guys, Condensed Mana Vortex is a sub-equipment that can take your Mana Vortex set and, again, make it viable in the max level cap. So I'm going to be able to take my Mana Vortex, which is crazy. It's like amp 11 on every piece because I love MV, and it's coming back, baby. I don't care if it's a meme. I'm going to make it work. And look, they even give you a ton of extra stats right here. You can see right here. All attack, skill attack, all of this. It's actually going to be viable, not just a meme. This is seriously powerful. 40%, 40%. You know, they have to buff it up to this level. And because it's a sub-equipment, you know, I have open slots at this point. I'm going to have basically 3 pieces or 2 extra pieces from my sub-equipment that are not going to be a set effect. So it's something that I have to keep in mind if I want to use these level 85s. But, dude, this is awesome. And we have this option here for bringing back level 85 sets. But those are tradable epics. If you aren't lucky enough to get them, you can just buy them from somebody else who got them to drop. So, anyway, those are the gears, guys. I implore you guys, there's no way I'm going to be able to go through 108 pages of this kind of stuff. But go check it out yourself, guys, especially for the types of gear that are for your character, because you know, obviously you only have so many options for your character. So anyway, guys, I didn't give very much of my opinion about a lot of this stuff. It was more of a recap of what we're getting. But I got to say, guys, I'm really excited for 100 cap. I know that I've been doing a lot of 95 cap content lately, how to prepare for 95 cap, you know, what to do when you get to max level and all of this optimization stuff. One part of me is a little bit worried that we're getting 100 cap so soon that you might be wondering, is it worth gearing up in preparation for 100 cap. A couple things I want to end off with. First off is here are the dungeons that we're going to have access to and what kind of EXO are required for the dungeon. So you can kind of see if you have no EXO, you can go into the Imperial Palace of Ghent dungeon and start farming your level 100 uniques. Okay, but if you are strong enough and you have enough this EXO, then you can start farming your level 100 legendaries. Same thing with these two areas, are basically the same. And you need a ton of EXO, but you can farm your epics and your mythic gear in this Oculus area. And then you can also farm it here as well as here and here. You know, these are the areas where you farm your epics and your mythics. This is where you farm your legendaries, and this is where you farm your uniques. So you can kind of see, you know, maybe you don't want to get your characters to the hyper level 95 upgraded prey type stuff, but maybe you want to be just strong enough to be able to do this type of content. Then, you know, use this as a little roadmap for you to see how strong you want to get. Obviously, you guys can see here's where you can farm gold, level 100 materials, epic pots and stuff, but look at these areas right here and kind of gauge yourself whether or not you're strong enough to do them, or kind of set yourself up. Okay, well, this character, once level 100 cap gets relief, I'll be able to farm the legendaries right away. I won't have to get the uniques. I'll just start farming legendaries. So look at this yourself. Maybe I'm personally going to be getting all my guys into their Harlem epic gear and then start working on the legendaries right here. But, you know, if you're already prey graduated, you can start farming the epics and mythics right away and at least get the materials to start upgrading as fast as possible. Another roadmap that you can use right here, this one was posted by Yong. Another roadmap here is also posted by Yong, but this is kind of a more specific for each kind of gear set. You guys can see here, if you're an old B with the 85 set, then just get those sub-equipments I was talking about and start farming the graduated epics and mythics. If you're only in Harlem and Tabor's gear, maybe you can farm the level 100 epics and then, you know, imprint and then get your epics and mythics. If you're brand new to the game, you're going to want to farm uniques and legendaries first before you start that. And if you're already a full prey graduated, then you can just upgrade straight up. You'll probably need some material, but you can just upgrade straight up. So this can also be used as a roadmap to kind of prepare yourself for 100 cap. Now, like I said, personally, I don't really care that 100 cap is coming so close. I'm looking forward to it, but I can see why some people are a little worried right now about putting too much more effort into 95 cap when 100 cap is right around the corner. When I say right around the corner, expect to see it in about 6 months or so. So what I think we're going to be seeing in DFOG is that we're probably going to be seeing an acceleration of content. You know, we'll probably be getting a lot more prey materials per run here soon so that we can get our prey sets finished before 100 cap comes out and stuff like that. So, but man, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to try to get all my characters at least in a Harlem set or some kind of gear set that they can farm their legendaries right away when 100 cap comes out. And hopefully you guys are not just waiting till 100 cap comes out, because you're going to be kind of falling behind if you have to farm your uniques first and then getting a legendary afterwards. It's going to be a lot easier if you're strong enough to just do the content when it gets out, or as much content as you can when it comes out, and be prepared in that way. Now, keep in mind also that, you know, don't wait up for other types of stuff that are not mentioned in this 100 cap. For instance, your swap set, all of the, you know, gear optimization stuff, you know, your avatar, your emblems. Make sure, if you're not the type of person who wants to care anymore about 95 cap, at least get the extra stuff like Operation Hope and all of that stuff that you still need in 100 cap, and get yourself ready for 100 cap, because it's coming, guys, and I can't wait. Level 100 cap, new epics, new Third Awakenings. It's a lot of stuff to look forward to in 2020. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully this recap was satisfactory, and I will catch you nights later.